What happened to Athaliah once Joash became king, and what happened to Judah? This is the question that we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of 2 Kings on Walking Through the Bible.
The glory of his cross.
Today we're going to be discussing 2 Kings chapter 11, verses 13 to 21. But before we do that, let's read the passage. If you have a Bible with you, turn to 2 Kings chapter 11, verse 13. But if you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So 2 Kings chapter 11, beginning at verse 13. Now when Athaliah heard the noise of the escorts and the people, she came to the people in the temple of the Lord. When she looked, there was the king standing by a pillar according to custom, and the leaders and the trumpeters were by the king. All the people of the land were rejoicing and blowing trumpets. So Athaliah tore her clothes and cried out, "Treason! Treason!" And Jehoiada the priest commanded the captains of the hundreds, the officers of the army, and said to them, "Take her outside under guard, and slay with the sword whoever follows her." For the priest had said, "Do not kill her. Do not let her be killed in the house of the Lord." So they seized her, and she went by the way of the horse's entrance into the king's house, and there she was killed. Then Jehoiada made a covenant between the Lord, the king, and the people, that they should be the Lord's people, and also between the king and the people. And all the people of the land went to the temple of Baal and tore it down. They thoroughly broke in pieces its altars and images, and killed Matan, the priest of Baal, before the altars. And the priest appointed officers over the house of the Lord. Then he took the captain of hundreds, the bodyguards, the escorts, and all the people of the land, and they brought the king down from the house of the Lord, and went by way of the gate of the escorts to the king's house. Then he sat on the throne of the kings. So all the people of the land rejoiced, and the city was quiet, for they had slain Athaliah with the sword in the king's house. Jehoash was 7 years old when he became king. In our last lesson, we had the usurpation of the throne in Judah by Athaliah, the queen mother. She succeeded in doing this by killing all the royal heirs, all except one, the baby Joash. Joash was saved because his aunt and wife of the high priest, Jehoshaphat, quietly saved him and stowed him away in the temple until he was old enough to become king. And 6 years later, the high priest Jehoiada decided that it was time. Now, normally you might think that a 7-year-old is not ready to be king, and I'm sure Joash would have had regents and advisors to help him, but that's how bad things were in Judah, that even a child would be better than Athaliah. And so, when Joash was anointed and crowned king, all the people present rejoiced. And since the royal palace was next to the temple, it is only natural for Athaliah to hear the commotion and come to investigate. And when she came to the temple, she saw Joash standing by a pillar according to the custom. Remember, the temple built by Solomon had 2 pillars, the one on the right named Jachin, and the one on the left named Boaz. It appears that in the intervening years, it became a custom in Judah to anoint the king next to one of these pillars, but exactly when this custom came into being, we don't know. Seeing this, Athaliah yelled out treason, which I find ironic because she is only queen over Israel because she committed treason against the Lord's anointed. Jehoiada the high priest was not going to take any chances that Athaliah might be able to summon some forces and kill Joash, so he immediately called for the guards to seize her and execute her along with any of those who followed her. She wasn't, however, executed at the temple, lest the temple become defiled. Instead, she was taken by way of the horse's entrance into the king's house and killed there. Thus ended the short, tyrannical reign of the only queen of Israel, Athaliah, wife of Jehoram, the daughter of Ahab. And with her death came religious revival in Judah. Recall that since the days of Jehoram, a period spanning about 15 years, Judah was ruled over by kings and a queen who was evil. It was so bad that the temple of Baal had been erected in Jerusalem, with the time and place of its construction being unknown. On the screen now is a temple of Baal that has been unearthed in Shechem, so that you can get an idea of the possible size of the temple of Baal in Jerusalem. After Athaliah's death, the people tore down the temple of Baal along with its altars and images. They killed Matan, the priest of Baal. Thus, like Jehu in Israel, Judah destroyed its Baal worship, though it would return later, some 135 years later, during the reign of Manasseh, an act that would be the final straw leading to Judah's captivity by the Babylonians. With the Baal temple now destroyed, Jehoiada went about the process of appointing officers in the house of the Lord from among the Levites to restore the proper worship of Jehovah that had obviously ceased during Athaliah's reign, probably under her threat. Joash was then placed on the throne of the kings, thus signifying his rule over Judah. He was 7 years old when he became king, though he likely ruled with regents and advisors until he was old enough to make decisions on his own. Looking now at our timeline, we go back up to about 839 BC and find the 6-year reign of the usurper Athaliah. That will bring us down to about 833 BC, and following her death, we have the beginning of the reign of Joash. Thus, the beginning of the reign of Joash is contemporary with Jehu in Israel, something that is good to remember. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of 2 Kings chapter 12, verses 1 to 8, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time.
Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.